Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
How you
I hear
sound?
you. I
Check
hear
one, two,
you,
one,
but I
two.
don't see. Oh, there we go. There we
There
go.
we
There we
go. We
go.
got to enter into the room. Okay, enter in.
Yep. But
All
there's
right.
there's this thing in front of me, a
Yeah,
banner.
that's still there. So let me see. Everything is up. I might need to leave it alone
You're gonna be
for
an
a minute.
engineer one day. I promise. A
We
studio
gonna get
engineer.
this. We gonna get this together.
We coming up on a year.
I just told that to Christy, and she was like, "Girl, don't worry about it." But I think something's happening in the background, right? Because I still see our screen. We in here.
There
Voices
we
is
go.
doing
Well,
her
wait a
thing.
minute.
Yeah. So I'm going to back up because you know.
Yeah, you be tearing some things up in there.
Hands up.
Hands
Sure, I don't
up.
mean no harm.
Right?
Hey, so welcome to Wednesday.
Thursday, girl.
Thursday, yeah. Oh, I know what I was trying to do. MVP Speaks just left, and we were talking about getting together on Wednesday because she has a spoken word on Wednesday, so it was kind of stuck in my head. But it's truly
Okay.
our day. It is Get It Together Day. It is Thursday at 6 p.m.
Yes, it
on Hot
is.
702.5 FM on Get It
Yes,
Together
indeed.
with Jnine,
And Jezzi.
and we
Can
are
you hear me
here.
okay? Can you
I
hear
hear
me
you just
okay?
fine.
Perfect.
So here's the thing, too. I think there's going to be a slight delay. So I'm really gonna pause as you speak.
Yes.
So
Okay.
there's
Hey,
a yeah.
Kanoy.
So, but yeah, we're good. And welcome to the show, all of our listeners and all of the people who subscribe to Get It Together. It is Thursday, and we need to start off with a breath. Let's take a breath of fresh air. In and out, and exhale and inhale. Deep breath. Let it go. Let it go.
I feel that deeply.
Right? Feel it
Yes.
deeply. All the listeners feel it deeply. So, hey, Kanoy, welcome to the room. We were supposed to have a guest today, Miss
Yes.
Haith Johnson.
Right.
She is a busy soul.
Right.
We did post that she was coming, but I do want to just let everybody know that she is the CEO of Lay Host Hair, and she has a hair store, not I mean literally a store inside Walmart on Craig, one of the first of its kind. So Walmart's been consulting with her. She has
Beautiful.
various what do you call those? She has various nonprofit groups that she's a part of. So she is very, very busy and very um, present in what she does.
Yeah,
So
she's very
she's got,
active in her communities. That
yeah,
everything that she's involved in, that's
yeah.
what makes
So
her amazing.
we give her grace. She has
Yes,
red carpet as far as we
absolutely.
is concerned because it would be a pleasure and an honor for us to have her here as a black business owner, and she is a celebrity stylist. There's a
Yes.
lot to her that we will uncover whenever she's available.
Right.
But since we're always ready, we don't have to
Always.
get ready because this is Plan B. But in the interim, if you want to go visit, she has a warehouse. She has braiding hair. She has
Okay.
custom wigs. They are customized to your head. You no longer have to go to anybody else. You can go right to Walmart, and she has displays, and then they also have a warehouse. So this is Walmart on Craig in the north,
Walmart on
North
Craig in the
Craig, or
North.
that's West
Okay.
Craig. So just that, I look forward to getting that union together.
I do too. I do too. But we understand, honey. It's busy out here in these streets, and we get it.
And listen, we respect your gangster. Okay,
Yes, we
we know,
do.
we know what's going on.
Absolutely.
So, with that in mind, we're gonna cover a couple of things that we thought were very interesting, and we're gonna really take our time with it because I
Okay.
think that this is one of the most profound and substantial topics in our black community, and
Mm,
that is black businesses, black restaurants, and black consumers. Let's get it.
yes.
So,
Man.
I had the pleasure of being invited to go hear um, a s an experience that the owner of Lolo's Chicken and Waffles had with a guest who was upset with their wait time. And
Mm,
we listened in and participated as non-judgmental because we are not restaurant owners,
right.
but we are consumers and customers. We I'm a chef, and we've worked in industries that we could actually give good judgment, fair judgment, I think. So recently, I'm scrolling through black-owned businesses in Las Vegas, and I'm going to read this with the listeners. I need you guys to tune in. Oh, thanks, Willette, for joining, and Noir for joining, and everybody else who is listening.
Hello,
I
hello,
want you to
hello.
chime in, call in, share your experiences. But this is a very serious matter to Jazz and I.
Right,
And I'm gonna let her take the floor in a minute. But I want to read this, and I want to get your response. I know how you feel because it's us,
right.
but I'm very interested. So here's a lady who says she is feeling disappointed.
Okay.
I'm sharing my experience at 3 different places that I patronized over the past couple of days. Unfortunately, not for the good. Let's start with DB's Cajun Kitchen. The service is awesome, however, the food doesn't match the service. I ordered Boss Dat Combo, Voodoo Egg Roll, mac and cheese, chicken wings, and took 3, maybe 4 bites and didn't eat the rest. I've been wanting to try them for a long time. Ella M's was more disappointing. Ordered oxtail dinner with greens and mac and cheese, chicken dinner with dressing, mac and cheese, black eyed peas, and yams. This food was just plain salty. Ate two to
Mm,
three bites and trashed it. At lastly, Mariposa. I ordered shrimp po' boy sandwich with rice and beans. Was at least edible, however, lacked any depth and with full flavor. I'm trying very hard to support black businesses, but the full enjoyment is just not there. She went on to say, I for one am a great cook. I get in that kitchen, I'm not expecting anyone's food to taste like mine. However, I know good food. I'm a flight attendant. I travel everywhere. Hell, in
mm,
my opinion, we are glorified hotel and food critics because that's what we do on our layovers. Dine out everywhere and rate hotels. All I expect is the food to be great experience on my plate from start to finish, leaving a memory with a pinning to return for more. That's not what I'm getting. I've also tried Lolo's Chicken and Waffles, Soul Food Cafe, and can't remember the other name of one of the other places. Lolo's, I was able to finish. Soul Food Cafe, 2 to 3 bites, then trashed. I just want some great food, and I don't want to have to cook all the time. I pretty much eat out every day. It's disheartening spending $60 and up on food that's disappointing. And these
mm,
reviews are beyond me. I'm originally from Cleveland. When I tell you that place has some of the best soul food, believe that. I've also lived
mm,
in 6 states. I know good food.
mm,
So,
mm,
Konoya, you probably did because it's in the black-owned business,
mm.
right? So
Right.
it's streaming on Facebook, and let me just say, it had 742 comments. The
Wow.
dominant of
Wow.
them were on the leaning towards her side in terms of
Mm,
soul food in Las Vegas, specifically,
mm.
where we live and dine and play.
Right.
So that's a real breathful, and I'd
Yeah.
like your take on what you heard, what we've experienced, all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, that's pretty consistent. I've heard it before, but it's almost like she lumped a whole bunch of restaurants and everywhere she touched in Las Vegas. she didn't like, or it didn't live up to her standard. I mean, I think I know good food too. And I have gone to some decent black owned restaurants in Las Vegas myself. Um, Zenadas, it's a small little brunch spot, and it's on East Tropicana in Las Vegas. And I loved it. The food was good, the service was even better. And I would definitely return there again. So, maybe the
Mm.
spots that she attended could have been an off day. And, I don't
Hmm.
know specifically about all of them. I've been to maybe three of the spots that she's named. I don't know about you. How have you um, visited most of the spots that she's named? I think I've been to three. I know I've been to Lolo's, I've been to Mariposa, mm,
We've been
and
to
DB's.
DB's.
And DB's, yes. I do recall going to DB's. I love their service. Their food, what did I have? I had grits and shrimp. Shrimp and grits. That's exactly what I had. And I had Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid was a little sweet. The
The
Kool-Aid was
Kool-Aid
a
was
little sweet.
diabetes in a
I
cup.
felt it was.
Bring me
It
water and
absolutely
water and
was.
more ice. Yes.
Right. And I did ask for that, and it didn't really change anything. So, I know that that's something I got to stay away from when I go to that spot. But I don't know. I feel like when you start seeing black owned businesses and then you lump all these restaurants into one category, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and every place is not like that, you know? And I
Huh.
that was her experience though, and I'm not going to take away from it because that's her experience, and I have suffered at the hands of it on occasion. But there's this
In terms of what?
sometimes the food being too salty on occasion when gone to some of these black owned restaurants where I couldn't finish because it was too salty, and I have to control my salt intake. I'm not a
That's
spring
important.
chicken anymore.
That's
So
important.
it's important that I pay attention to what I put in my body.
Bottom line.
So, you know,
So
how do you feel about her review and
initially,
her give back?
initially I wanted to jump in there, and I wanted to just kind of rip it apart a little bit and have her expound a little bit, because two things she said that I fully agree with is I'm a retired flight attendant. So I
Right,
get
right,
eating in different parts of the world, parts of the
right.
country, parts of the U.S. I get food crosses over, tastes are very different. And I also agree with that, and being a chef, I rate a lot of places that I go by foods that I can prepare. So
Okay.
I usually avoid those foods when I order, because if I'm gonna order cooking at home, I know how I want it. But if it's
Right.
something a little bit more flambe with, it's glazed with wine sauces and those kind of things, I'm with it. I need
Right,
to try that. So
right.
here's my thing with soul food and Cajun food and black owned businesses. I feel there is a place and a time to address issues you're having when you're spending your dollars.
Mhm.
And usually people pass up that opportunity to correct a problem while it exists. They
Mm,
wait and get
mm.
behind the keyboard, and then you go to not only black owned
Keyboard
businesses,
warriors.
you could have just put it in your own comments on your page.
I
But you
agree.
really wanted to stir the pot and get all these comments behind the keyboard. Did you once say, I spoke with management and I
Mm,
understood, I have a better understanding now. I may
mm,
not come back, but I shared my experience with them. So people miss
mm.
the mark,
I agree with that. That's an excellent point.
right? And so then you look like you're attention seeking or
Mm.
bashing, which is what a lot of
Bashing.
people said in the comments,
Mhm.
and not respecting the fact that you might be a great cook, but do you own a restaurant? Are you in position to cook for hundreds and sometimes thousands of people over the course of a week and
Right.
have a bad day? That's one. Two, why would you specifically name these places without a little backdrop? So I know she talked about the things she ordered, and I agree with some of the salts and some of the sugars that we use as a culture, as
Yep.
as black people.
Yep.
Sometimes we got to put, I mean, there are other ways to season food, and I know chefs know that. I know chefs know that. There are other
Oh
ways
no.
to acquire a robust meal, because that's what the
Right.
girl's looking for. She's looking for flavor. She's looking
Right.
for something to burst in her mouth and make it different than what somebody else could have made. You know, they're looking for an experience, which is the word she used. And it makes sense because as flight attendants, that's all we do is look for experiences. We're looking
Mm.
for new places to eat, and we're going to talk about them. So I get
Okay.
that, right?
Okay.
But I also want to read what DB responded because I like the man as a whole. I
Okay.
enjoyed Mariposas. I understand they went through a lot of changes,
Mhm.
ownership changes. They also went through staff changes. People don't know what goes on behind the scene to produce
Right.
one meal for one person.
Right.
So, you know, there's
Exactly.
staff issues. There's a lot to
Right.
consider. And we're not expecting, I don't think professionals are expecting you to ask those questions and then they have to give you that answer. They're not giving you subpar service as an excuse. Those are, you know what I'm saying? That's not acceptable. But if you don't take the opportunity to tell the management and let them fix it or address it, then you've missed a golden opportunity for learning.
Exactly. And I know you are excellent at that. When you
Right.
step into a place, if you see some things that can be adjusted, customer
Mm-hmm.
service, whether it be food or the
Mm.
service,
Excuse me.
you're letting them know
So
immediately.
now that you say that, so I went to, I'm going to go back to this because this is a very serious topic. And I think, so Kanoi says, also some restaurants have some dishes that are great and some not so great. Oxtails can be a
Right.
hit or miss for many spots. I'm not a fan of oxtails. I don't want to
Me
work
either.
that hard. I barely want to work that hard for crab. You know what I'm saying? You got to get in
Right?
between those oxtails, if even when the
Right?
meat is falling off the bone. You know what I'm saying? And then what kind
Yeah.
of sauce is it being made in? I'm not a fan. You can keep that
Me
ox ass. And then yams are an issue for some.
Yes.
Some not sweet
They
enough,
love their
some not cooked
sugar.
long enough. Greens will be too salty, and that's right. Let me tell you. First of all, stop boiling it in salt pork. That's where the
Yes.
majority of the salt is coming from. If you're going to season them with additional salt while you're using salt pork,
Yeah.
you can get the
No need.
same effect with a rotisserie chicken. Stick that thing
Mhm.
in there and let that boil, and then put them greens in there and let all that meat fall apart. You can get the same effect from smoked turkey necks and smoked turkey legs.
That's exactly what I use. Them smoked turkey necks and smoked turkey legs.
Right.
And it works wonderfully.
And put a couple bouillons in there
Yep.
just to
Yep.
burst it, and those have salt in them. So
Already.
calm down a little bit, black people, on that part. And I'm not saying that with this restaurant. I'm saying this is overall how we have to start viewing how we
How we
see our
eat.
food intake. Hmm.
Right. Because diabetes is not hereditary, believe it or not.
And you can
High
change the
blood pressure
course.
is not hereditary,
And you
believe
can
it or
change the
not.
course. That's right.
Right?
That's right. So, my experience today, I went to not Scrambled. That's always a nice spot. I went to Baby Stacks
Okay.
on
That's your
Centennial.
spot.
I talked about that. Yeah, that is my spot. Now, this sounds simple, you guys, but I want the listeners to hear how simple things can be if you address the issue on the spot. So, I'm sitting having brunch, and they sat us at a wobbly table. So every time I lean in, my juice is right. Yep. And then the
Mm-hmm.
other side is having the same thing. So I waited patiently until she came over, and I made a suggestion. Whoever cleans the tables and, and puts new condiments and things on needs to check the stability of the tables. And sometimes just a piece of paper
Right.
underneath there
Underneath the
will balance
table.
that table off.
Right. A little piece of cardboard or something.
Something as
Yeah.
simple as that, because you will ruin my meal If I splash my
Exactly.
water or my coffee on my lap, now we got an issue because we got a wobbly table. So either remove it out of service, repair
Right.
it, or do a temporary fix. But somebody has to recognize when they cleaning that table, I know you feel it wobbling. So I took the
Right.
opportunity to tell management, thank you for letting us know. How many people, I didn't go to brunch until 11 o'clock. They opened at like 6 or 7. How many people sat at that table and didn't say a word?
Yep, and that's exactly what I was thinking as you was telling that story. How many people sat there before you, experienced that, and then say a word?
Didn't say anything. So no one's saying you need to, every little thing. That might not bother some people, but it bothers me because I think about the person after me.
Mhm.
That's, I'm thinking more about overall effect versus just me. So let me read DB the chef's comment. And I believe that this is the way you handle things. Shout out to DB the chef, LV.
Okay.
I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to everyone who has come to DB's Cajun Kitchen. No matter if you like the food or not, the appreciation is that you gave us a try. I haven't been in the kitchen like that due to personal reasons. I'm still not fully myself, but I will be back in my element and will be fixing the issues I read about in a previous post. There is
Hmm.
no such thing as a bad review. Sometimes that's the only way we are made aware there's a problem that needs to be fixed. Just know I heard you and I'm fixing a few things. Thanks.
Wow. That was very professional, and I didn't hear any defense. I heard thank you for the feedback. We'll work on it. And that's exactly what I want to see in response to a review that I give. So very, very professional. Good job, DB. But I think that's the restaurant where they go around and kind of chat with you, and their service is good. So that makes sense that he has a great business ethic in that regard.
That is correct. And that is what accountability is. We
Hmm.
talked about that. That is what ownership is. And that is what management is.
Right.
He addressed it, he owned it, he didn't defend, he didn't
Yep.
mock or make her feel that her information was invalued. As a matter of fact, he valued and welcomed it. And a lot of times people who have issues just want to be heard and
Right.
or understood.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
And he did that.
And he did that. That was an excellent rebuttal. That was an excellent response. Not even a rebuttal because he didn't. He said, we will
Mhm.
take into
Mhm.
account your feedback and look at it. I like that. So,
That's right.
DB, calm down on that sugar, on that Kool-Aid. And we good. We're good.
But yes, that's right. And the egg rolls that they make at DB's for me might be a hit or miss because I'm not an egg roll fan. So I'm not going to
Hmm.
order something that I wouldn't
Hmm.
even order where they are traditionally made,
Mm.
or so
Mm.
I'm just not a fan of that. And then I sometimes think about how we layer on mac and cheese and all these things, yams and stuff, how we layer those combinations of food on. And so I kind of shy away from that too. But a lot of people love that stuffed turkey leg with the mac and cheese and from Turkey Hut and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
You
ain't gonna
know,
lie. That food
it is
pretty
a lot,
good.
but it's slapping, right?
Yeah.
So, Kanoa again, she says use that's right, granulated garlic and onion powders and not the
And
salts.
not the
So
salt.
the
Yeah, I
seasoning
like that.
salts. And even some of these Cajun salts that you are buying, Cajun seasoning that you're buying over the counter,
Mhm.
they're counterproductive to again, and here's the other thing. When you're frying fish, same concept. If you're going to use fish fry instead of cornmeal, then you might not want to put too much seasoning on top of the fish because they
Right.
season,
The
right? So
cornmeal.
do
The
half and
fish
half with the
fry.
cornmeal
Mhm.
and the fish fry. Cut
Yep.
it in half. You will cut the salt because people want flavor without saltiness, and it's a nice, healthy balance.
Right.
Which you can use other products, a lot of
Sure
other products.
can.
So I will say this: there are over 50 black restaurants in Las Vegas. If you telling me that
Beautiful.
you can't find good food out of those 50, we got Kim's Kitchen downstairs. We got right here in the building on
Yes,
Karen,
indeed.
or
I
and
love me some
we've got
Kim's.
Grits. Cafe, who is out, they are outstanding. Ella
Mhm.
M's went through some changes. I know they went through a couple different cooks, but their food was kind of consistent. Yes, sometimes they have bad batches. Sometimes they have
Mm.
bad days. Sometimes the chef
Mhm.
does something a little differently. The idea of a restaurant is consistency.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
So when I go
But
today, I want to taste the same thing tomorrow.
absolutely, I feel you on that note. I have
Stick to the
experienced
recipe.
that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes and I've experienced that they don't even have to be black owned, honey. That can be at any restaurant where I can go one day and it's excellent, go back the next, it's a different cook and he does something different
that's
to the
right.
steak or something. And
And
I'm
make
like,
you
oh
think you
Lord.
crazy when you tell them I was
Yeah.
just here. I know what this is supposed to taste like. So
Right.
yes, but I was overall I was a little disheartened because I feel like the reflection of our opinion and how we see the world and how we respond has a lot to do with how we feel about ourselves and our own experiences.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Don't deviate from the path. Yeah, I come here for a reason.
Right. Don't different chef, different day me. Shoot.
That should not be it because restaurant owners want you to stick to the script
Yeah, stick to the
and
recipe.
don't throw a pinch of salt in there because you thought that was what the dish needed. So
Right.
yeah, I thought we'd take a moment about that because
It's worth it because it's real out here in these streets and we need to support. It makes me think that we do a good job of giving the bad and not so great of giving the good in return.
yeah,
And I think we as a community, a black community, are good at dishing it out, the negative feedback and have a hard time, sometimes giving the positive feedback. I mean, I know that like when you go out, you will actually say also if you had a great experience, if you had a great meal, you're still giving that feedback
some
just
feedback.
as you would tell them, this is what you should work on. So, I think we should be a little better at that as a
I do
community
too. I do too.
because it's important.
It is
And,
important. And this is our community, right? And I'm going to
right.
defend the community. You can't say nothing bad about Oakland or Las Vegas as far as I'm concerned. You can't
There
say
you
nothing bad
go.
about Jesus or Obama. You hear what I'm saying? You just cannot say bad
Right.
things about our black businesses without substantiating,
Right.
understanding. It took a long time for black people to even get in some industries without the
Right.
hard work and sweat of somebody else. So let's be lenient. Let's be considerate. Let's be a little more understanding with each other
Yep.
as a community. Because I'm going to
Right.
tell you something, and I mean this. Black people, my people, and sometimes myself, are hard to deal with
Hmm.
when it comes to customer service.
Hmm.
Giving it and
Yes.
receiving it. So as a
Yes.
consumer, sometimes I am rolling my eyes trying to get past dealing with some of my sisters and brothers and
That's
watching
funny.
how customers act when they're inside black restaurants, and they wouldn't act that way in any other restaurant or any other
Right.
establishment. So sometimes
Right.
black people, we got to get our shit together. It's getting it together. Represent when you go to places. You want to treat people like you want to be treated. So when you show up to black businesses, be respectful. Don't expect discounts. Don't sell yourself short. Um, somebody said that to me today. What are you worth? And that's what you
Mm,
charge, and that's where you start at. Stop asking for discounts.
I
Stop
like
going in
that.
expecting not to pay the bill. Stop going in expecting bad service. Because sometimes when
Right.
people say a black-owned business, we automatically think we're going to get subpar service,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
very
far
true.
from the truth. We've come a long way understanding the importance of customer service and customer retention and de-escalating situations because you really know word of mouth matters.
Yes, it does.
742 people commented, and the half of those comments Because I just scroll through to see how intelligent we are sometimes.
Yeah, woo wee. That should have been interesting all in itself.
It
I'm telling you,
was.
that comment section be lit. You will learn a lot about some folks
Won't you learn a
that's
lot?
walking around
You'll learn a
beside you.
lot about how they feel about things or don't feel, and all the misspelled words while you're trying to condemn somebody. So I went through, but the thing is, a lot of the comments were in negative towards Las Vegas businesses, and that was disheartening because I don't believe a lot of those people lived here. They're
Mm,
sharing their drive-by experience.
mm,
So I get defensive.
mm.
And so initially I said, well, that's her opinion. But then the other side of me said, maybe your opinion should have been better said in person.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know how they'll bless you. If DB was as
Yes.
happy as he was or as encouraged as he was to hear what the feedback was, imagine in person.
I know, huh?
Pull him to the side. It's not an embarrassment. I pull him to the side. Let me whisper something in your ear. You know what I'm saying? Let me just, because you don't want to embarrass them.
Right,
You don't want to put somebody on the spot and make them defensive. So there's
right.
nothing wrong with when you're going to pay your bill saying, listen, I'm not trying to get a free meal. Black people, stop assuming we want to get a free meal either if we give you some feedback.
Right.
I didn't like this service. Or even while the food is hot or comes to your table or take that first bite. That's an opportunity to say, I didn't really like this very much. And usually they
Mhm.
say, this is a very common, more likely, can I replace it with something?
Mhm.
Do you want something
Yep.
different? Or is it the way
Right.
we prepared it? Did it come out not hot? Was it not what you expected? Or I'll give you a refund. It's usually one or the other. But
Right.
they don't necessarily pass you off unless you just really, bitching about something that is not relevant and is not within their control. So if
Right.
it's reasonable, be reasonable.
And I can say, judging by when I went there to eat and the fact that they do come around to your table to see how everything is
Yes, they
and
do.
how you're doing, you have ample opportunity
I
to
believe
give
so.
your
They're
feedback
very
at that
personable in
point.
there. Yeah.
Extremely personable.
Yeah. And then same with Mariposas. Every single
Right.
one of those servers that we experience in the times we've been there have been attentive.
Very attentive.
It might
Yes,
take them
I
a minute for
agree.
your drink to come back from the bar,
Right.
but they've been attentive. So,
Mhm.
they come back and check on you. And that's a huge part of customer service, especially at restaurants, is to come back and check on your customers in a timely fashion while they're still eating and during the course of their meal. So
Right.
once they get their drinks, I mean there's an etiquette to that. And so even in busyness, swoop by a table. Hey, everything good? Because I don't like starting my meal and not having everything I need. And I didn't
Yeah.
think about what I might have needed. I might have needed that A1 sauce.
Right.
Come back by because now my food is getting less and less hot. It's not as hot,
Right.
and I'm waiting on you to come back, and you never come back. Now I've enjoyed my steak without my A1.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I still feel like I remember you talked about teaching customer service etiquette in that regard at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Girl,
Mm.
I almost feel like if no other day and age that something like this would almost be necessary, it is today. At this
It is
day and age
today.
for sure.
You know, I just would wonder if institutions would be willing to pay for consultation because they're
Mhm.
automating so much stuff now. So
Yeah,
y'all
that's
better watch
true.
out. You do
Yeah,
too
that's
much
true.
complaining, they gonna make sure that they replace these people.
Yep,
If you
they
if you
true.
treating but here's my biggest problem. You don't see these same complaints about the fast food industry, and they're giving awful service and awful food.
Ooh
Awful.
wee.
And I
Ooh
don't see
wee.
these same complaints for these conglomerates. But you want to
Yeah.
come down on somebody's blood, sweat, and tears who is actually feeding the community that we love and
Right.
trash it.
Right.
But you'll turn around and go, but I'm going to give you an example too. You talked about this. Chick fil A.
Mm.
Chick
Yep.
fil A. What kind of customer
Chick-fil-A.
service do we get at Chick-fil-A? Is this and it's consistent, isn't
It
it?
is consistent. You will always get a smile. You will always get, "How can I help you? Let me get your order." And they will move quickly. I mean, quickly to make sure it happens. It's consistent.
It's consistent.
It is consistent every time I've gone. I don't care what city I'm in either.
Uh-huh.
It's
And I tell you,
consistent.
they have it down to a
So,
science in a way that
can you still hear me?
I do. I hear you. Yeah. I hear you just fine.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's at Chick-fil-A, it has been consistent, and sometimes I just won't go there because I feel on some days their chicken is too salty.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, there are days where I go and I feel like their chicken is just too salty for me, so I won't. I'll lay off for a while and I may return at another point, another day and age. But
Mm.
the customer service ain't changing.
Okay.
Maybe just the cook in the kitchen might have changed or
Okay.
something at the time. So
Okay.
take
So I stopped eating just the regular stuff. I just go and get the salads.
okay.
I just go and get the salad. So I haven't really experienced the saltiness. Wingstop is salty.
Oh yeah, I can't
That's
fool
some.
with Wingstop.
Ooh,
Ooh,
honey,
I
you will. Mm,
mm-mm.
mm-hmm.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Tell you right. In and out, Canes, they are consistent, and they're
Yep.
consistent in a way that they confirm your order 2 to 3 times before you get to the
Hmm.
window, and it's ready when you get there, and
Yes,
it's
it is.
still hot and fresh
Yes,
with
it
a
is.
smile. And
Yep.
what's their statement? My pleasure. Mm, my pleasure.
Every
Right?
time.
So I think customer service is huge. I do think that we do need more training in that area
Hmm.
when it comes to food service. But I just don't know if the industry is ready to pay for that. But I'll certainly offer my services.
Because
I will show you
but speaking of
how.
automation, we went to Cache Creek and went to an restaurant in Cache Creek, and you know those little robots with the food, the trays?
Hmm.
That's who was bringing out the food.
Hmm.
A robot with a tray was
That's
bringing
right.
the food, programmed to bring the food to the specific numbered table and deliver the food.
That's right.
So, yeah,
So
y'all be
we have a
careful out here
black
in these
restaurant
streets.
that has that service already. And they have pretty good food. I did a review on them. I can't think of their name. It's seafood.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the location, but they actually have the delivery of your food on the tray. They know exactly where to go. Um, you know, here we are.
Here we
Felt very
are,
space
y'all.
aged. Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
So with that, I, we talked about how I think people view the world based on their own experiences
Right.
and how they see themselves.
Right. I agree.
Specifically, our sisters and brothers,
Right.
the black and brown people, how we see ourselves.
Right.
A lot of that is the self awareness, self confidence, self esteem.
Hmm. I agree.
And the lack of that, makes it easy for you to tear other people down.
Right. I think
Um,
we judge ourselves, we judge our brothers and sisters a little bit more harshly than we would
mm,
potentially
hmm.
another ethnic group. Um, and I believe that's because of a lot of times what we're telling ourselves and how some of that stuff is how we feel about ourselves. And so it just
Hmm.
becomes a reflection outward because, you know, you're like, these black folks, but what are you telling yourself? Are you talking to yourself and telling yourself, looking in the mirror, saying, "Oh, I look fat today. Oh my God, my hair is terrible. Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
too this. Oh my God, I'm just so
Hmm.
unattractive. Ain't nobody
Hmm.
gonna fool with me. And I'm hard to deal with." And when you start having a lot of that negative self-talk, trust me, that's gonna be in your aura and that's gonna come out of your mouth. And you're gonna start viewing the outside world in that same manner.
Correct.
So that's why I actually personally do. I mean, I go out of my way to find positive affirmations for myself and, like, you know, even the stuff I post on my page daily is for me so I can do a
Mm-hmm.
internal introspect and try to reprogram the information I'm telling myself daily. So when I go out into the world, I'm not always looking for the negative in something. I'm
That
not
part.
always looking to see who effing up,
Mm.
or you know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for that all the time. So it helps.
It does. And then it helps what you're eating, because what
Yes.
you're eating can very much affect how you feel about yourself and how you feel every day. So that's why we here on Get It Together. If you want to call in and join the conversation, we have time, 702 551 5261. Join the conversation about restaurants you've eaten at here in Vegas. There are a ton of them, a ton of black restaurants all over the valley. If you want to talk about, how we see ourselves and self-esteem and what we put into our body and how it affects how we regurgitate our attitude, call in, participate in the
Mhm.
conversation. But it is important when you think about the foods you put in and the information that you put in, how it winds up coming back out to the rest of the world.
Yep.
And we as black people have not always had the best experiences, and we're still dealing with a lot of trauma in our own lives and
Mhm.
trauma that happens around us.
Mhm.
So it's a very delicate balance, and a lot of it, I'm going to tell you right now, you already know how I feel about two things: your water intake, drinking enough water
There you
so
go.
that you have enough blood running through your system that provides oxygen, because the lack of oxygen starts to equate to deterioration of your body and
Mhm.
deterioration of your mind. Our
Yep. Them
bodies need oxygen.
cells. They need them cells.
They
Yes,
need
they
oxygen.
do.
And so they need the water. Your body needs water. So drink water often.
Mhm.
Drink water.
Yep.
Get next to water. That's
Yes.
important.
Yes.
You know what
The
I'm saying?
energy.
We have to change our directive so that um, I don't know, we just need to be more supportive as people, and we need to be a little bit
Right.
more patient in
Right.
a fast moving world. It's
Right.
asking a lot.
I know it is. It's asking a lot, but you have to be in charge of yourself. You have to be
You
the
worry about
one.
yourself.
Exactly. You got to be the one to worry about where what goes into your food intake.
Mhm.
What goes into your
Mhm.
stomach, but what
Mhm.
goes into your eyeballs, what goes into your ears,
Right.
all that's intake. You got to
It's
be
intake.
concerned about that continuously, or be cognizant of what you're giving your attention and time and effort to. Because if you
Bottom
got
line.
a timeline full of fighting and arguing and people killing each other, and and all you seeing is, what's that girl name? Krishan and Blueface on your timeline,
Jeez.
then you
That's
need to
that's
pay
trauma, child.
attention
Mhm.
to where you're giving your attention, because the
Mhm.
algorithm is going to feed you what you pay attention
We
to.
talk about
So
that.
remember that. So if that's what you see in the majority of when you're scrolling, because we all do it, right? Every now and again, we take the time to scroll. So
Right.
what you're seeing, the majority of on your timeline is where you're spending that's where you're giving most of your attention to. So the algorithm is going to
It's
give you more of that.
definitely a mirror of where you are and what you're
Yes,
interested
it
in,
is.
because it's going to keep
Right.
feeding you. And so, next to the water, get good rest.
Yep.
Take a break from social media and get good rest. It says, I wrote here that rest is a state of mind. It restores and recharges in the background. It changes your mood and your focus. Rest is your entire being overall health, and it is restorative. It is an immune booster, gives you energy, creativity, weight management, mental and emotional stability. That's real talk. And we're talking about
Yep.
resting, which in
Yep.
rest is a little different, as we've said before, than just sleeping. And because
Mhm.
sleeping has its own elements, you need to get to
Right.
REM, you need to
Right.
get to dream state. You
Right.
shouldn't be so easily alerted at night and during the day, or if you're trying to take a nap and your nerves are offset. So these are small things that are within your control. Lord, help me control the things that I can't. Those are those things. Drink a lot of water, get you some rest, get you some restorative rest off
Right.
the internet, off the TV. Let your mind sink. You know what I'm saying? Search your heart. See what's
Yeah.
going on with yourself.
It's
So
healing in
science is,
everything that
it
you are
is,
mentioning, healing in all of that.
it
I didn't mean to.
is. And it's saying that 40% of the population gets less than 7 hours of sleep. And because of medical reasons, physical reasons, or emotional reasons, we are
Mm,
not getting good sleep and good rest. And it's more than just a vacation. I talk about drinking that 8 ounces of water a day. The 8 by 8 rule. Um, and then the last thing I want to say is insufficient sleep. Um, the body starts to break down, and it exceeds the rate at which we heal and repair. So when you don't get enough sleep, it starts to exceed the body's natural way of repairing itself. And
right.
so get that sleep because it makes you overall happy. It makes you have
Hmm.
a better day.
Yeah.
Um, and you need it uninterrupted because we need to repair the muscles that we use all day, every day. We need memory consolidation.
Right.
Memory consolidation. We want to be
Mm.
able to compartmentalize and
Hmm.
utilize the
Mm.
memory.
Right.
That's a
That
whole,
makes sense. That
yeah,
absolutely
right?
makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
So
if I'm not sleeping good, I don't, I
scattered.
don't make me have to go sit in a training and I didn't sleep good the night before. My retention is gonna be whoo,
Mm-hmm. To the
no
floor.
bueno.
To the floor. So this is the soul food section. We talked about the food. Now we're talking a little bit about the soul food and how to, um, you know, it is rough in these streets trying to navigate and discern. So
Yeah.
I met a person yesterday, and I talked about how I know my path is laid out by God, and so the people that I meet are who I'm supposed to meet,
Right.
and anybody that I don't need to, I generally don't.
Right.
They fall by the wayside, or the meeting just doesn't happen.
Right.
So the point in that is living a spiritual life is just as important to getting to the bottom of what's going on with you as all the other things I spoke on. So you should have a balanced spiritual life
Mhm.
somewhere in your closet, somewhere in your house, somewhere in your mind, somewhere in your body.
Mhm. Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree with that hands down.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
necessary because and spirituality is different for different people, but you find you some.
Find you some.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's necessary in this
Yeah.
day and age. Because this is maybe a little off course, but I feel like the more you strengthen your spiritual self and everything that J9 just mentioned with the water, the keeping yourself hydrated, getting good rest, eating properly, and monitoring your intake of social media and everything
Hmm.
else,
Hmm.
um, will help you grow spiritually or find where you need to be at. It'll help you see a little bit more clearly where you need to be spiritually because
Mhm.
the way things are moving, you're going to need that in order to navigate through these times because things are coming quick, quick, quick.
Yeah. And the devastation and the loss that is coming along with some of these
Yes,
things, you have to be able to have empathy.
yes,
You don't ever want to feel that these things don't bother you anymore because they
right,
should. Because
right.
some of these things that are happening in our world should not be.
They shouldn't.
I don't know if my sister wants me to share the story, but I'm just going to give an overall. Um, she's here in Las Vegas and she was trying to buy a car yesterday. And do you believe she got defrauded? Because there's people out here that are trying to slip into your bank accounts. They're
What?
representing houses that don't exist, and they having people put down deposits. They are representing cars that don't exist, or that, they've been doing
Right.
this for a long time.
Yeah.
But Cash App and Zelle and all these virtual methods of payment have
Mhm.
also made it virtual for you to get your money back.
Mm.
It's, once
Okay.
it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And the scammers are getting worse. I will say this. They are also saying do not use those portable chargers at the airport now.
I saw that. I did. I saw that too.
So you got to be aware. If it's too good to be true, that statement is still true. If they're asking for more, it's not going to work. Um, and you have to be weary of these kind of things. So they're saying that people now, these scammers, have found a way to put malware on your phones through those portable chargers at the airport, the ones by the chairs and the
Mm,
charging
mm, mm,
stations.
mm, 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 mm.
So now
That's
everybody
right,
needs to
T.
invest in portable chargers that they charge isolated of, you know what I mean? Those portable backup chargers. That's what you want.
Mm.
Not possible. I don't know what that means, square
Yeah, I
mo.
don't know what that means
But
either.
yeah, well, good to know before I get to it. Yes, T.
Yes, T.
Stay.
That's I agree.
hmm Because once you get the malware, your phone is now not functional, and now you're traveling without communication. So it is good to know. And then let me say this in closing. Those were just some little side bits because the world is cruel,
Yeah.
and we have to find ways to still get money, to
Yep.
still make a living, to still support our families,
Mhm.
and still, stay
Stay
awake.
grounded
Yeah,
and
right,
healthy
right, and
in the
not
midst of all of
depressed.
this, and
And
not
right,
depressed.
that's right. So I'm gonna say this: um, the mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. Plato once said, "The sea cures all ailments of man."
Mm.
And I read this before because basically he's saying water calms the restless mind. That's the water that we take in, and that's the water that we go, when you go away and you go to, even that water that you listen to when you need to go to sleep at night, that kind
Mhm.
of thing, the refreshingness, it's refreshing. So it activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
Mm.
It's activated, which slows the brain and promotes relaxation. The same way 420 probably does. That's how I would
That
describe
sounds
that is
good.
increases blood flow to the brain and to the heart. So it is a critical resource. It is a life force that without it we would die,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Ain't
So,
true. Facts. All facts.
yep,
All facts.
the body needs water to conduct signals. So poor hydration affects energy levels and dehydration produces fatigue.
Mm.
So these are just key things that I feel that I'm trying to incorporate in my life as I try to elevate and move through. And so I think it's important that I share that with you because I think we covered this before earlier last year. I said God made water, right? How do we know that? Because we have the recipe, but we can't make it.
Right? Right? Right there. Enough said. Right freaking there.
Hello?
Enough said.
Yeah. So my sister said, do your due diligence before you buy privately. That's right. You do.
Yeah.
And I think private sales are scary now
Yeah,
because
they are.
people are coming up missing. People are meeting with people on private levels. They're dating on private sites, and it just doesn't feel like people are really doing business on the up and up in some respects when you have to deal with Facebook sales and
Mhm.
Zillow and stuff like that, places like that. So you almost just need to continue to deal with like dealerships and people
Yeah.
of reputable status.
Right.
So
Where you know that you can return to and say, look,
I
something
have a
ain't
problem.
working or there's a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah. Somewhere you can go back to. But
So
great
yeah,
show.
that's our
Great show, sis.
time. Thank you for listening. We'll be back same place, same time. It's Get It Together on Hot 702.5 FM with J9.
And Jezzy, thank
And
you to
we
all for
love bringing
listening.
you this information. So tune back in, share, 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 share. and share some
Yes,
more, because
please.
these are our black businesses that we are going to continue to support. And we have some things coming from Hot 702.5 FM that's going to actually help consolidate and bring black business together as a reference. I'm so excited about this radio station and get it together and all the things that are
Yes.
coming in the future, that I need you guys to tune in. Again, next Thursday, 6 p.m., every Thursday, 6 p.m. Join us. And
Join
with that,
us.
get your water, get your rest. God
Sending you
bless.
peace, love, and light, prosperity, and protection to you all.
And with that, good night.
And now, good night.